Great, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Why don't we start with some peace breathing as we normally do at the beginning of our meetings together with the Education Peace team. We'll breathe in, whirl, and breathe out, peace. Inhale, whirl. Exhale, peace. Inhale, whirl. Exhale, peace. Thank you, everyone. And just a reminder, let's keep on breathing peace throughout our days. And when we do it at 12 noon, we're kind of trying to do that globally around the world in each of our time zones. So this is our first meeting after Peace Day 2015. And I know everyone is probably still busy with follow-up and kind of coming down from all the Peace Day activities. I know we are here. So those of you who can't be with us live today, I know many of you will be seeing this later through the recording. So thank you for joining us either way. Today, to start off, we wanted to have George, the co-chair, with me. George Anthony is going to talk to us about the Season for Nonviolence, which is something he's been involved with for many years and has great ideas for us on how we can utilize this towards Peace Day. So George, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, and welcome all participating in the October Education Peace Team meeting. Yeah, I'm very excited. First of all, the International Day of Peace it's just an extraordinary day, something that I brought students to, and as a result, I know all students actually affiliated with this day come away with such energy, and I know as educators and peace builders and peacekeepers, we look to take that energy and build it forward. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm working with a wonderful group called the International Leadership Team at Mater Dei High School. And I'm also working with Lenny Crescitelli with schools in New York City, moving them towards International Day of Peace. But in the interim of International Day of Peace, we've been involved with Season for Nonviolence for about the past 15 years. A wonderful day marking the anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King and Gandhi. 64 days of nonviolence, and it usually culminates with workshops and performances throughout the world honoring the Season for Nonviolence. And I know we've been working with California with Barbara Fields and her AGNT over in California for the last couple of years as well. And it's been held at the United Nations, and then the year before last, it was held at the United Federation of Teachers. We're looking to bring that conference back to the UFT. The UFT has agreed to host it again on a smaller venue. We had a larger venue last time, but some of the people involved with the planning, there was some kind of confusion, and we had about 100 people participate. So we're looking to bring that about 100 to 150 back to the UFT under UFT sponsorship. Working with Lindy Crescitelli. I also spoke with Paula over at Edu Academy. She's working with some schools in New York as well. So we're looking to sort of go into the schools, work with children with project development that focuses primarily on peace leadership, peace education, and use the Season for Nonviolence as a platform for those best practices presentations, but with an eye towards the International Day of Peace. So it sort of ties that all in. We've been successful with that model over the years. We're looking to go back to that model. And one of the interesting conversations I had this past week was with actually Dina McCowie, one of the chairpersons for the DPI NGO, the Department of Public Health NGO, youth representatives. Now they're having a meeting next month, November 12th, on climate control. So I will be attending that meeting with many students who will be working on projects regarding global warming, how youth are affected by it, how the environment is affected by it. So we're going to be looking at that meeting with an eye towards Season for Nonviolence, as well as with an eye towards the International Day of Peace. And I mentioned to Dina, I said, Dina, we've been away from the UN for 2 years. Would the DPI youth representatives maybe be interested in possibly hosting a Season for Nonviolence at the UN? And she was open to that idea. So that's a start. It's a good start. once I see her November 12th, we can sort of take that conversation further. We can bring John and Kelly into the conversation, Jennifer, possibly Paula, possibly even the UFT, possibly New York City schools, as well as Connecticut and New Jersey, and sort of look at the UN as a platform. So we're looking at 2 platforms actually this spring for the Season for Nonviolence, which gives more children more exposure to the International Day of Peace and Peace Day and all the powerful and positive messages that come with those days. So that's where we are at right now at October 29th. As soon as I secure a date at the United Federation of Teachers, which hopefully we'll have in the next 2 weeks, we will then bring participants to the UFT to talk about planning forward and preparing forward and having a very successful Season for Nonviolence with an eye towards Peace Day and the International Day of Peace. That's where we're at.
Excellent, George. Excellent. Anyone have questions for George about the Season for Nonviolence, or how you might be able to work this into something you're working on in your location? We'll open it up.
So how do people get in touch with you, George, if they want to participate or learn more?
You can email me. You can go to my website, which is Peace Dynamics, www.peacedynamics.com. I'll put it in the chat. I'll load that up, so I'll put that there right now. And my number is there. And if you're in New York, we'd love to have you join us as soon as we begin the planning process.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, George. It's a great kind of midway point, in between each year's International Day of Peace. So I like how you're utilizing it with the eye toward the International Day of Peace. Great sharing there. Thank you so much. Next, we are so delighted that our team advisor is able to join us this meeting, Dot Naver. She has some really exciting news to share with us, with anyone who's involved with or interested in peace education. So Dot, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and excited to hear about your topic.
Thank you, Jennifer. How is the sound? Is it okay?
It's perfect, Dot. Yes.
This is Sophia, and she wants to express her hello to everybody and gratitude. And George, she loves what you just said about nonviolence. So I've been invited to speak for just a couple of minutes about something called National Peace Academy at Point of View. And this is the National Peace Academy in the United States. There's a rich peace history in the USA that many of us are not fully aware of. And one strand of that began with our founding fathers in the United States, and particularly George Washington, who made it very clear that there was a sense that we needed an academy of peace to train peace builders and those who were interested in a peaceful society as rigorously as we train military. So in this country. And so throughout the years, there were many bipartisan bills presented in our U.S. Congress, and particularly in the 60s and 70s, calling for a National Peace Academy. So when Jimmy Carter was president in the late 70s, he sent Senator Spark Matsunaga from Hawaii, along with Elise Boulding, mother of peace research and a renowned peace educator in her lifetime, with Professor James Lowy, and they traveled the U.S. and overwhelmingly at town hall meetings, citizens of the United States said, yes, it is time for a National Peace Academy and a focus on conflict resolution in the United States of America. So during that time, more bipartisan bills were presented, and there was a sense that this was going to happen in the United States. So a piece of land was donated to a then young university, George Mason University in Northern Virginia on the East Coast, dedicated to this peace building and this project. And it is called Point of View. And it's on a point, literally a peninsula on water. And it's a lovely play on words as well. Anyway, fast forward a bit. Carter didn't get a second term in the U.S. President Reagan came in. The United States Institute of Peace was founded. It now has its place on the National Mall, which is wonderful, with a focus on international affairs, working closely with the State Department. So many of us still felt that there was a necessity to focus domestically on peace building. So over the past year and a half, 2 years, Dean Kevin Averick and myself have had many, many conversations about the National Peace Academy that was founded in 2009 in this country by citizens in all areas of the society in the United States, and the existing School for Conflict Analysis and Resolution at George Mason University. The best, I would say, the leading peace studies program in the United States, with an international focus as well, and doing great work, and already using this piece of land a bit for peace building work. So he talked to me about his dreams as dean and said, imagine a civilian Camp David in the United States of America. And for those of you, particularly internationally, you may know that Camp David, in those years, when there was the big call for a National Peace Academy, actually was developed in order to go off-site from a conflict or from a peace accord or whatever, and have some downtime, some quiet time, some time to really talk about what was happening and come to a resolve, and then step back into the public eye. And so the National Peace Academy at Point of View, we are going to break ground in the spring for the Elise Boulding National Peace Academy House, which will be a residence in support of a peace building center that now exists, and the official opening will be in spring of 2016. And it will be a place where peace builders get trained, where communities can come and learn more about taking a comprehensive approach to not only breaking the cycle of violence and breaking the school-to-prison pipeline and cutting-edge processes and next practices offered by scholar practitioners and experts in the field and community organizers, and those who are doing it in pockets throughout the country successfully. But also be able then to take it back to their community. These trainings and community policing and all the various things that we know in peace education and peace building. So it's a very exciting time in the United States in that particular pocket, and we have some members of Congress who have heard about it, and others who are saying what a good idea and very timely in the United States. And if you want more information, you can go to nationalpeaceacademy.us. Or you can contact me, dot@nationalpeaceacademy.us. And we will be kicking off a capital campaign shortly, within the next couple of weeks. It's just it's a culmination of a lot of years of work in this country, and a very exciting time for many in the peace building field. And we want to give a shout out to George Mason University School for Conflict Analysis and Resolution. The National Peace Academy is delighted to be in affiliation and in support of Point of View.
Thank you, Dot. So exciting, isn't it, everybody? This is really amazing. Anyone have questions for Dot? I know we'll be able to reach out her directly, but maybe someone has a question right now.
Dot?
Yes.
Dot, as always, I commend your energy and your vision. It's extraordinary. Something like this, peace builders and peacemakers, we're spread thin throughout the United States, and usually we come together at conferences, universities, or we find each other through organizations such as this, Seeds of Peace. This can open a floodgates of peace builders and peacekeepers, because it's becoming, it sounds like a central point. Do you have a Are you prepared for this floodgate of
Yes.
of powerful energy and positive energy of leaders in the field? Because there are many, many experts, and we are spread thin.
Yeah.
But when George Mason has a point of view, and
Yes.
it becomes a central point, I'm very familiar with United States Institute for Peace. They go through highs and lows regarding funding and regarding depending on the presidents, and I've worked with them for many years, and they do great things.
Yeah.
But a civilian, national, domestic
Yes.
organization is they're the same. All great, it's very difficult to stop a great idea whose time has come.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I will say yes. And one of the reasons we're so confident about this is thanks to all those over the years, since the early 70s, who have developed George Mason University, and specifically those who have developed programs through the School for Conflict Analysis and Resolution. The scholars and scholar practitioners there, they are doing fantastic work, and that's point of view. So the Peace Academy is delighted to support that and be an affiliation. But yes, they are ready, willing, and able. So it's a very exciting time.
Bless you.
Any other questions? Everyone has been unmuted, so you can just freely go ahead and ask your question to Dot.
Is this connected with?
Who is this? Could you introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. This is Jane Bernard in New York.
In New York, yeah.
City, yes. I'm a member of the Association for Conflict Resolution. Is what you're talking about also associated with it?
Yes, we will be associated with every, as George was just saying, with all those who are doing this work and interested in resourcing somehow. But again, I want to say that it's George Mason University that these kinds of questions should be focused toward and point of view. We are in affiliation and in support. We will not be the main deal there. They've got wonderful programs, and we bring some of the connections and resources, which is exciting in terms of grassroots and the kinds of programs that you're doing such great work with, for example, in New York. So it has always seemed to me, and one of the reasons I got excited about helping to found a National Peace Academy, that we need a way to tell the story and reveal the infrastructure for peace that already exists in the United States. Not only do we have a rich peace history, but we are actually living that into reality right now, and our focus through media and the corporate world, et cetera, is still very much other than an infrastructure for peace. So thank you for calling the question. And yes, we all need to figure out a way to recognize one another as part of this infrastructure and shift that cultural norm so that we break the cycle of violence and continue to reveal what I call a culture of peace, but call it what you will, but an infrastructure where our attitudes, behaviors, cultural norms, and ultimately policies actually reflect who we are and our shared values. And peace for me is living in right relationship with self, others, and all life. So the policies that reflect that. So thank you for asking the question.
Thank you. Your work is amazing.
Thank you, Jane. Back to you, Jennifer.
All right, thank you. Dot, we are so happy to have you with us and very excited about this wonderful news and this opportunity for all of us probably to be collaborating on a much closer level once this all gets moving forward. So thank you very, very much. Thank you. Next, we'll be moving forward, and we're very honored today to have a wonderful author and peace activist, peace journalist with us, Bert Berlow. Bert, I'm going to introduce you, and please, I think you're with us not on video, but we can hear you, so welcome.
I'm on the phone only. I couldn't get the video to work, but can you hear me fine?
Yes, hear you very well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I hear you too as well. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's a great honor for me to be with you folks.
Happy to have you, so please go ahead.
What would you like me to do? Like an introduction, basic introduction, or?
Well, yes, we were hoping we were hoping that you could give us an introduction to what you do and how this might relate, how your resources might be beneficial to any of us working with students, particularly as we try to engage students in positive action for peace, moving toward the International Day of Peace.
Okay, well, as you said, I'm an author, peace journalist, and activist for many years, and I have published numerous books. I've had articles in the Peace Alliance. I just submitted one to the Alliance for Peace Building to go in their newsletter. I have an article coming out in Peace Journalism magazine. The main thing is that I have recently authored a series of books of stories, true life stories, inspiring true life stories of people we call compassionate rebels. The first book actually was published probably several years ago. The last one just within the last few years. And these are folks who are peace builders and peacemakers, ordinary people all around the world who are making social change. And there were, between the two books, we've got about 50 stories, and they're very powerful and very inspiring. And our goal has always been to have these folks, so many of them who have been around for a long time, to become role models and mentors for the younger folks. And we do have some stories of younger people as well in the books. Compassionate rebels are basically people who combine their caring and their compassion for a particular issue or cause with the capacity and the willingness to kind of step out of the box a little bit and come up with some creative solutions that are nonviolent and will build a community of peace. And when I say we, I mean myself and others that I've worked with. We believe that the compassionate rebel response and lives in everybody. They've just got to find it and share their story. We're all about sharing stories. And then we've discovered that basically this is a revolution of sorts, in the sense that if you take the R and put it small, it's evolution. It's an evolution that people go through when they have these kind of epiphany moments where they went from, oh, I'm mad about that, or I don't like that, to actually getting out and doing something about it. And that in turn transforms the society or the culture that they live in. We also have some very inspiring videos of about a dozen of those people, video interviews at various lengths. And the most recent thing, I worked with a professor at a local college in St. Paul, University of St. Thomas, Dr. Mike Klein, who teaches in peace studies. And along with students in his conflict resolution class, used my book in their class, commented on it. The students wrote exercises about it, and then they published a book called Teaching the Compassionate Rebel Revolution, which is an educator's guide that can be used in conjunction with the other material as a way of teaching peacemaking and conflict resolution. Those were students of college age. We're very much focused on the next generation of compassionate rebels and peace builders, and trying to inspire and motivate them and work with them. I also belong to a Peace and Justice Writers Group, and we did a big event on the International Day of Peace where we dedicated a local literary center as an international peace site. And we're going to be continuing to work on that over the next year, trying to involve as many young people as we can. So I think that this is kind of a resource that some folks may be interested in terms of really teaching peace and perpetuating peace building in our society. And my website, CompassionateRebel.com has all the information about that. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody about it anymore or answer questions. We've used it in a number of schools and colleges, high schools and already, and we're certainly looking for more opportunities for that. Thank you. I hope I wouldn't go on too long.
Not at all, Bert, not at all. Thank you so much. I agree that the resources that you've created, particularly about, the ordinary people, that's what it really comes down to, is people in their own individual lives becoming peace builders and peace creators. That's really the way that peace will take place in our society and our world. So seems like you're very much on the same track, and I believe that everyone within this team will be interested in your resources. So thank you for sharing them. Anyone out here have any questions for Bert while we have him on the line? I'll try to, sorry, we got to get you unmuted here for a sec.
Okay.
Bert, what inspired you to create this really extraordinary project, as well as the literature, to open a window for other people to see the lives of others who created that change? Where did your inspiration come from?
Well, I grew up in the '60s. I've always been interested in peace and nonviolence. But right after 9/11, I was partnering with a woman who runs a local peace organization and has a bookstore, and we were talking about that we'd like to do something to have the stories of peace builders told. None of these stories had ever been told before. These are voices that had not been heard, and we were getting tired of same old stories about, violence and famous people and all of this, and we thought we really need to get some ordinary people out there and get their stories told and heard. So we started out, we interviewed 50 people in the first book. My friend Rebecca came back to me with a suggestion for the title of Compassionate Rebel, and it just kind of took off from there. And then after that book was used in a lot of different venues and activities over the years, retreats with college students and high school students and so forth. And then some years after that, I just decided that, number one, we needed to tell more of the stories, and number two, that this was a movement that we had discovered. A previously hidden culture, actually a persona, the Compassionate Rebel persona that most people weren't aware of. And so I published a second book, which has an additional over 60 stories, and then we subsequently have done the video and the Educator's Guide, and we even have a music CD. But it's all inspired. Storytelling, I'm a journalist, of course, and so storytelling has always been important for me, even when I was just working as a newspaper reporter. I believe in the power of stories to change the world. And whoever tells us stories defines a culture, as you may know. So our goal is to get as many stories as possible. We're encouraging people to send us their stories. We'll put them online on our website or blog. We want to start a dialogue about people exchanging their stories. People that we interview, some of them we hardly knew. But when we got them to where they felt comfortable telling their stories, they just poured out their life history with us. They were thankful to be able to tell it. And they also appeared in person in a lot of places as well. I mean, can you imagine reading about your everyday hero and then actually seeing them show up at a bookstore or a community center or wherever, a school? So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Other questions for Bert?
Not a question, Jennifer, but a comment. And Bert, I want to say thank you. Your work is so inspiring and has planted so many seeds, and this storytelling approach and, yes, how it defines society in fact, is so beautiful. And thank you for doing this on behalf of the common good. It really is very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comment. And who was that was asking the question? Can I ask?
Originally, that was George Anthony.
I just asked that last question.
No,
It was a woman, wasn't it? Oh, no, the comment, I'm sorry.
The comment
Last
came
comment.
from me, Bert, Dot Maber.
Dot, thank you very much, Dot. Yeah, and thank you for your support. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, back at you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dot. Anyone else? Any other questions for Bert? All right. Well, Bert, we truly thank you for being with us. If you do have time, we're going to talk a bit about results from this past Peace Day event. If you're interested in sticking around and listening in, we'd love to have you keep joining us if you're able.
And there are ways I can follow up on this interview, connecting with people and so on.
Well, we have a recording of this meeting that will go out to everyone on the team. And so that's gets out to all of our Education Peace Team members. And then we'll have your contact information in there so people can reach out to you with their questions. Your resources, I think there'll be many people in this group that will want to look at your books and your the stories that are being told. So we really, really appreciate you joining us today. Oh,
Thank you very much for having me on, and keep up the great work you're doing for peace.
thank you. And Bert, if you hold on for just one more moment, I think we have another question for you. Hold on, please. Go ahead, Valerie.
I'm Valerie from World Citizen Artist. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do people submit to you their story, or do you look for the stories? How is it working?
Well, it's both. When we started doing the project, the first book, we went out and looked for people that we kind of knew or had connections with. But eventually, people started coming to us. They'd find out what we were doing and contact us in one way or another. And that's what we're looking for right now. If we find somebody in our travels, we certainly encourage them to give us their story. This is wide open. And anybody who thinks they might have a compassionate rebel story, a peace-building story, and we'd be very glad to work with them on that, because we know that there are the Compassionate Rebel Revolution is the largest social change movement in history, because everybody who's ever been involved in social change has that compassionate rebel element. And we just want to hear as many of those stories as we possibly can from anybody anywhere.
How do you
If you have a story to tell us, we'd be welcome to hear it.
How do you select the stories? Do you have any specific criteria on length or topics?
No, we don't have any criteria regarding length. There really is no criteria other than what we were assuming would happen anyway, that the stories would fit into what we're doing, and I don't think that's going to be an issue with most of you folks. But no, we don't have any. You can write as long as you want. You can write a short poem. You can write a long article, whatever it is or essay, whatever it is that you are comfortable with, and put it in a format and send it to us, and we'll be happy to dialogue with you about it.
Okay, thanks. I'll pass the word on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Thank you again, Bert. Other questions for Bert? Okay. Thank you, Bert. So nice to hear from you today. We really appreciate your work. Thank you. What we'd like to do next is start talking about this past Peace Day in September, and if people want to share about some of the results they had with their student activities this year. I've been asked to pass along a message that came from Ann Louise Colgan. She is with the United States Institute of Peace. If you remember from our past meeting, she joined us to talk about the Peace Day Challenge that they started this year. It was the first time they were putting on a very much larger scale effort toward the International Day of Peace. And she let me know that they actually reached over 21 million people with their Peace Day Challenge in 129 countries. Right. Very big. This is via social media. And so they helped inspire Peace Day activities through their Peace Day Challenge in more than 36 countries and 22 states here in the United States. So it's quite impressive what the U.S. Institute of Peace was able to put together. So happy to share that for you on behalf of Anne Louise. They're compiling information about it now that we may be able to have access to later about some of those stories. So I'm happy to pass that along. And I'd like to open it up now to those of you who'd like to talk about what happened in your location for Peace Day this year, particularly with students. And also if Jean, if you wanted to talk a little bit about the any, information, statistics that you've been able to gather with Kelly about this year's Peace Day activities.
It will be a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I just want to say hello to our friend Anaí, who's joining us from Mexico. There was an hour delay with the next meeting that's starting at 5:30, but I invited her to stay. So Anaí, if you want to say, hang on, let me unmute your mic, unmute audio. So, I've got little technical problems. Okay, so if you don't mind, everybody, I'm going to mute all the microphones right now for a couple minutes while I show you some pictures, and we'll come back and unmute all afterwards just to avoid any feedback. So the day was just phenomenal. It was good to see most of you, Dot, Jennifer, and George at the UN. What I'd like to do is share mostly some of the experience we had with the delegation that we brought from Montreal, Canada, that you can see here from what we call the Peace Bus. About 42 young people came on that bus to join a greater delegation, actually, because we had a total of 78 people in our delegation this year. We were very lucky to be able to invite some youth from the YMCA, New Jersey and New York, some youth also from a theater company called the Possibility Project. Of course, we had some youth also from the Big Book, and so on and so forth. And so what you see, this picture here, is basically the young people. There's also Jennifer in the background with Master Kim and our delegation from Mexico. So you see Wendy Carvajal and her son, and our dear Anaí as well in the back on the left. So all these young people went into the big room. These pictures I'm showing you, of course, is the earlier on during that day was a Peace Bell ceremony with the messengers of peace that you see here, Jane Goodall, Michael Douglas, and Herbie Hancock. Also, of course, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and his wonderful wife, and the new president of the UN General Assembly also was able to say a few words during the Peace Bell ceremony. I was not able to take a good picture of the Peace Bell ceremony because I had to sit down and not move around too much. There was so many various media present. Then everybody went back into the main room, and of course we had a wonderful pleasure of meeting another messenger of peace, Yo-Yo Ma, that performed during the event. And there you can see him. This is a picture that Michael Douglas, that you see right behind him, actually took and reposted on his own personal Facebook page. So you see the young students and the guests that were there, very taken by this performance. Following the student observance, we had the great honor to host the first youth summit. So Peace Day 365, were able to bring in some of the young people that attended, including, you see here in the picture, Philippe Tousignan, who is the young man that we work with based in Montreal, that is the co-chair of the youth peace team at the moment, sitting next to Ahmad Alendawi, who is the Secretary General, United Nations Youth Envoy, or Envoy to the Youth. They were listening very intently, as you see some of the presenters there, two young men from the Possibility Project here in New York. And on top of them, you see Ambassador John W. MacDonald, who is the ambassador at the time, back in 1981, who wrote the resolution and encouraged the president of Costa Rica to present it to the United Nations. So he is the pioneer behind the International Day of Peace. Next to him was another organization that was attending our conference from California, Teen Kids. And there were other also associations and NGOs represented, one of which is called Generation On, that I will be thrilled to tell you more information on as we meet with them in the near future. So our friend Philippe did a wonderful job moderating. We recorded the whole meeting, and very soon you'll be able to see a video of this, what I think is a historical event that will be repeated next year again with the UN Youth Envoy, Ahmad Alendawi. We had the pleasure and honor to meet with him the following day, just with Kelly, myself, and himself. He is opening up tremendous doors for us within the UN to connect the dots, both with the youth and also with peace building offices across the UN. So we're learning quite a lot from him, and he is truly someone that is very inspirational. Of course, during that meeting, our friend Anaï presented again the same presentation that she had done at the UN. Very proud of her, as well as some people from the Big Book, the Possibility Project, a young man called Nicholas Bongiovanni, who has an amazing project about children and kidnappings and so on. And here, of course, we only had the honor to hold on to Ahmad Alendawi for only a half hour, but it was an amazing half hour, very power-packed, and we're able to take this picture with him following that half hour, and we continued on with our presentation. So this was just one of many, of course, events that took place during the day. There were events taking place at the church center. There were many NGOs represented there that were praying every hour on the hour. And so we're thrilled. Of course, our friend Valérie in Paris was working very hard with her own organization, World Citizen Artists, promoting Peace Day throughout the world. And we're so thankful of that partnership for peace. And she brings a lot of dignity for all through her own work. And I encourage you to go and visit her Facebook page at World Citizen Artists, as well as the Peace Bus 2015 Facebook page. You will see there many of the videos that were recorded during the Peace Bus trip. There's about 3 videos together, and there's more coming. So again, thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit of what took place in New York on the Peace Day celebration. And I will unmute all of your microphones right now if there are any questions or any comments. Back to you, Jennifer.
Okay. All right, Jean. Well, I'd like to say thank you so much. You did an amazing job of coordinating many, many things going on the International Day of Peace in New York. It was a pleasure being there this year at the UN. So thank you, Jean. It's amazing what you were able to accomplish. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear friend.
Thank you. We'd love to hear from some of you. I don't know, Valerie, if you'd like to talk a bit. It's very intriguing to hear about World Citizen Artists. If you could maybe say a few words about your work and what you were able to accomplish for the International Day of Peace this year.
Yeah, sure. Well, first I'd like to say to Jean, there's no need to thank me. It's a solidarity project we have since the beginning, so you've supported us. We're happy to support you, and we think that what you're doing is really great. It's a really great job, so you deserve it. World Citizen Artist is fairly new. It's been built about a year and a half ago, and just over a year we've reached about 100,000 fans and members. So it's a community, basically it's a community, a non-profit organization and a movement which aims to use art and music and all creative forms to promote humanitarian issues. So we have several areas. We have an area which is like an online magazine where artists can submit they can apply basically to have an article which is called Artist Voices. So they give their voice on specific humanitarian issues they wish to talk about through their art or music or creative project. We also have just opened a new area, which is an awards channel. And what we're doing is we are awarding creatives around the world who are making a difference in the world. So, for example, our first award recipients are young non-profit organization called Bijapi. You may have seen the video. It's about a homeless and free students who are going to play music beside him in the street. And this video has been made basically to encourage people to help homeless, ordinary people to help with their creativity. It's to say you don't need money basically, and you can help. And our next award recipient, which will be unveiled in December, is a famous peace activist who has been working with George Clooney, Alicia Keys, and many more, Peter Gabriel, etc. So we are doing this the aim of doing this is to encourage people to use their creativity to do good, basically. And there is a possibility for anyone to participate. Sorry if I'm long, I wasn't prepared. You've taken it by surprise. So anyone can participate. For example, you can suggest an award nominee. via worldcitizenartist.org. So you will see the section awards and suggest a nominee. So anyone can suggest a nominee, but you can't suggest yourself as a creative. So it's to encourage solidarity and to encourage awareness as well of what is out there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think we'll all want to take a look at what you're doing. Thank you.
Sure.
So I think, Jane, I know you're with us as well. Did you have anything? We didn't get to talk with you yet today.
Yeah, I did in Baltimore, the Friends School in Baltimore City did a project for Peace Day, and they loved it, and they're going to incorporate it in the future. And they did join the Facebook page. So that was good. And also, I've been talking to the Bank Street School. I was going to reach out to George, actually, after the meeting. Perhaps you would like to meet with me with the president of the school or something, just to talk to them about how they might be involved. Not the graduate school, the children's school.
Hi Jane, just reach out to me, call my number, we'll set up time, and we'll move forward with this.
Sure. You know, this was a new year for me. I really didn't understand even what was going on. I've learned a lot, but I know so many people, and I work with a lot of people who are in their 20s. And you know, the more I know, the more I can bring in. So it's just an honor to be associated with this group. And you know, I'm also from the 60s, so.
Great. Thank you, Jane. Thank you. We're coming close to the hour, and I think we're a smaller group today, so I'd really like to thank everyone for being here today. It's important that we continue to gather, and I think that we're going to be finding ways to stay even more connected now, because there's, like, I love Dot's phrase of infrastructure for peace that exists, but now we're making these connections even stronger. So thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. Let's take a few more breaths of peace before we go. We'll breathe together. Inhale, world. Exhale, peace. Inhale, world. Exhale, peace. Inhale, world. Exhale, peace. Thank you. A big thank you to Jean, who really keeps us all together, technically and otherwise, and also to Kelly, who couldn't be here today, but does so much in the background for everything that we do. So Jean and Kelly, thank you very, very much. Thank you to everyone.
It's our pleasure.
And thank you, Jennifer and George.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dot.
May peace prevail on earth.
And may it follow you always.
Thank you. Peace.